welcome to the Right Balance podcast. I'm Diane Wright, your host. Here is where I'd like to share stories and interviews with leading practitioners and coaches, all under the health and wellness umbrella. We'll be including holistic therapies, inspirational people, and a vast array of experts to help you get on the right path. Join me every week for advice and information that will offer help and support, because we all need the right balance in life. Good afternoon, everybody. I've got a really special lady with me today, Nicola Roberts from Jolly Wellbeing Fitness, which is based in Carlisle, Cumbria, in England. I'm going to literally pass it straight across to Nicola because she's got a fabulous story, and I'm sure it will resonate with so many of our listeners. And if it's okay, Nicola, I would like you to tell our lovely listeners all about your early struggles, which set you on this amazing journey of wellness and fitness. So welcome, Nicola.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on this. I'm really pleased to be part of this. It's very important just to spread the word about a lot of good work that's being done out there, and, you know, normal everyday stories that are quite inspiring. So I know you've got a lot of other good guests. But yeah, it's good to be part of this. So yes, my name is Nicola Roberts. My maiden name is Nicola Jolly. So hence the name Jolly Wellbeing. I didn't quite want to let go of that. It's such an unusual surname. But I became Mrs. Roberts when I got married. I've got two boys, two teenage boys. And yes, I found motherhood a challenge, as many people do. No matter how prepared you think you are for it, it's a shock, and it's hard work, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done. So I'm 48 years old, and yes, I live in Carlisle in Cumbria. And so my main job was, I was a journalist, a local reporter for local newspapers. But then, yeah, when my kiddies were young, I needed something for me. So I went to a dance fitness class called Moki in Cumbria, and absolutely loved it. It just struck a chord. The music, the carefree atmosphere, the non-judgmental nature of it all. And it was just permission to be yourself for an hour, switch off from everything that you're dealing with. And I absolutely loved it. Became addicted. So I went once a week, then twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, and all was going fine. It was my sanity. And then my husband unexpectedly became out of work and didn't work for a year. And so I was a bit worried then about, the fact that he was at home all the time, and also money. I didn't want to spend money on frivolous things such as exercise classes for myself. I'm sure a lot of women can relate to that. So I thought, right, how am I going to do this? Now, this idea had been buzzing in my head about, I'd love to be an instructor. Because when I was little, I used to watch pop videos, Top of the Pops, and I'd watch girl groups and singers, Bananarama, Mel and Kim, doing all these dances. I used to record them, rewind them, watch them, rewind them, and learn their choreography. And this idea was buzzing in my head, like, could I become an instructor? No, don't be silly. I'm too old, I'm too busy, not fit enough. But it just kept buzzing. And then another instructor sort of encouraged me. She said, actually, I think you're really good. You're a really good customer. Why don't you have a go at it? And that's what I needed, just something to sort of unlock that doubt. And I went for it. And there's all these coincidences happening at the same time, God incidences, I would call them, because I've got a Christian faith. My husband was at home. He was looking after the kids. So I could go out and train, and I could go to these evening classes and not worry too much about childcare. And so I decided to train then to become a Moki instructor. And it was so hard. It was really, really hard because, yes, life was still busy, juggling lots of things. And I think I was still doing the journalism at the time. And I wasn't fit enough. I couldn't last a whole class instructing without having to have a break, because you're having to talk on the mic as well and give it 110%. So my mentor, she would sort of step in when I was getting a bit tired. And yes, there were times when I had the rabbit in headlights moment of completely forgetting the moves and just blanking and just being stood there, like not knowing what to do. I mean, it was so nerve-wracking. And somehow I just carried on. I don't know what it was. I think stubbornness, just got me through it. And I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, eventually I then became an instructor. And had my own classes in like community venues like church halls, community centres, that sort of thing. And we just built up this cracking group of women, together we created this atmosphere of, this is for you. This is an hour where you switch off. And I would say to them, right, come on in, ladies. At the door, you can leave all your baggage, all the stuff that you're dealing with. There's nothing you can do about all that now. So come on in and just let go of it all. And you've got permission to be carefree for an hour. This is for you. And just let go. And they did, and we did together. We created this amazing atmosphere together, really supportive. And it didn't matter if the moves went wrong. We had a laugh about it. We laughed together. I mean, often I was going the wrong way, and it just didn't matter at all. It was so supportive and carefree. So I think eventually I was doing 6 classes a week. So I built up that fitness. It took me a while. And also along the way, I trained in pure stretch as well, which is literally, as it says, stretching. And so it's been an amazing journey with some fantastic women. And I remember, when I see women coming in, I never take it for granted that they come in and they are nervous, especially if they're on their own. They've run out the door after having, giving the kids the tea, that sort of thing. And they've taken the time to come to my class, and they are paying me money, and they are trusting me with an hour of their time. They are trusting me to deliver something that's going to make them feel better. I never took that for granted. I always felt, really privileged to do that. And you'd get the ones who were really nervous, and they were the ones I especially wanted to embrace. And other customers would see someone new and they would go over and say hello. And they'd come in, and you could see they were sort of holding back at first. Now, the class involved a bit of whooping and yay and cheering, and sometimes even sort of interactions, swinging around your partners and high-fiving. And I could see these nervous ones at first thinking, oh, I'm not doing this, is crazy, And by the end of the class, they were doing it too. And that was brilliant to see, to see them singing, because then they had let go and they had got into the zone and they were feeling the moves and they were just enjoying the music. So they were the ones I particularly enjoyed. And so, and together we just really supported each other. We shared tears and laughter. We had people coming back after illness, or people who had perhaps lost a parent or were grieving over something. They had the break and then they came back, and we shared those times. And after class, it was sometimes hard to get them to go home because they were still talking and sharing that fellowship, and that was all a big part of it too. The exercise is almost incidental, really. It was about that camaraderie. So it was just brilliant. So there you go. That's how I got into dance fitness.
That's brilliant. I think you used a really great word there, giving people permission. I think, given, because people are so, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, I mean people are in their own bubble, and they're in their own bubble for a reason. And I think when we are given some certain instructions that are out of our area or out of our bubble, people think, yeah, I can do that. And I think that's such a positive way of saying it is okay to take fitness classes. It is okay to down tools and do what you'd normally do every day, and enjoy your space and time. And to do that in a group, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
And they knew it was a safe space. No one was judging. No one was comparing. And, in myself, I knew I wasn't the fittest in the class because there were some people who were real gym bunnies. And, they could squat lower and lunge lower than I could, but it didn't matter. Yeah. And then there were other people who perhaps did it, in a lesser way. They walked the steps rather than bounce them. And that was the key. You do it at your own pace. And as long as you're feeling it, that is absolutely fine. And it's about inclusivity. You do it at your own pace. You get out of it what you need to. Obey your body. Don't do anything that your body doesn't like. And so sometimes people did freestyle the moves and think, no, I don't like that move. It's not right for my hips, so I'm going to do it this way. And so you would see different styles of the same move, and that was quite liberating as well. And it was just the fact that it was completely non-judgmental, and we all laughed together.
I think that's important as well, isn't it? It's so many different stages. As I remember going to classes years and years ago, haven't been since, however, because they were all model-like, and the leotards were all on at the time, going back in the day, and it was all about. I think it's just natural human instinct, isn't it, to sort of think, well, can't do that like that, and I can't move like that, and I'm not that flexible, and it puts that big worry, and it stops you doing things. So when everybody's having that laugh, and camaraderie, as you say, together at different levels, it's like there's nothing being judged, which is fantastic. Also, just going on from that, Nicola, obviously any age and any ability, is that right?
That's right. Yes, yeah. So we had children in as well. It was aimed at sort of adults, but some people who didn't have childcare, they would bring the children in. They could sit on the sidelines or join in a couple of the songs if they wanted to, and yeah, so right up through to 80s. Yeah.
Wow, that's brilliant, yeah. Isn't it?
And I love the fact that they were all together doing that.
Yeah.
All ages. I did love that, but like you say about. No one had to be self-conscious because of this safe space we created. So I would go along, and I'm not, a sort of muscly, stick-thin person. I'm a normal person, and so I don't wear makeup because I know that it would be running at the end of the class and sweaty. And at the end of it, I'd have my corned beef face, as I would call it, blotchy red. But it was just liberating and glowing, and we were all in the same boat, sweaty. So, yeah, there was no airs and graces about it. And I think you have to be prepared just to let go and not worry about that sort of thing, or let it put you off going to exercise in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's important because there is so many people, I can hear them already saying, I've put so much weight on, I need to go back, but oh God, I can't bear that. You've literally got to leave it at the door. Like you say, leave it. You can't do anything about it, but start definitely from now.
All shapes and sizes. We definitely did have all shapes and sizes. And at the end, we'd sort of take group pictures, but sometimes I'd take group pictures of our water bottles or our trainers to say we are all different shapes and sizes. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether it's our body shape or our water bottles or our trainers, we're all different, but we can all get a lot out of this by doing it in our way.
That's brilliant. I like the water bottles. That's great because there is so many different sizes. I love that. That's great. On your additional training that you did with the Pure Stretch, what does that involve, Nicola?
So I went up, I think it was a 2-day course, yeah. And so that was a big investment for me because to be away from my family overnight, because I think when you become a mum, I think you sort of become bottom of the pile and you think it's a bit indulgent to invest in yourself. But I'd gone to yoga classes, as for my own benefit, and it really did help stretch out those tired, achy muscles. And then I saw this Pure Stretch course. And I think it was in Edinburgh, and I thought, I've got to go there. I'd love to do that. So then I did it. I took the plunge and I went up and trained. And so I guess it is a bit like yoga, but without all the and the meditation stuff. It is purely stretching, and it's just delicious. If you've got tired muscles, and it's for anyone who, is an athlete or it doesn't do any exercise, anyone who's sitting at a desk, for your shoulders and your neck, and you're like this all the time, driving and typing, and anyone who wants to just improve core strength, just for everyday movement, just so that you stay safe, picking things up off the floor, it's just all about strengthening and stretching your body. So I did that. And then eventually when I came up with my own classes, I sort of combined dance moves with stuff I'd learned in Pure Stretch, like balance and stretching.
Oh, that's brilliant. So there's a mixture of everything. And I believe you have all sorts of music, Nicola, as well. Is that right?
Yeah, so just to explain, when COVID happened, I built up to 6 classes. It's okay, because it sort of slightly changed from what I was doing. I was doing Moki dance fitness, trained in Pure Stretch as well. Then COVID happened. And I'd worked up to doing 6 classes a week by then. It just stopped, literally just stopped. And that was it. So thinking, right, okay, so that's 9 years of hard work gone. What do I do with that? Do I just go and get another job and forget it ever happened? What do I do? And so the structure of Moki that I was doing changed. And so I had to basically branch out on my own if I was going to continue the fitness. So that's when I came up with Jollywellbeing, and then I started to hear songs and think, I could do that move to that. And and little ideas started forming again in my head, while this pandemic's happening. And again, they wouldn't go away. And so I came up with a couple of routines and then a few more. And then it just happened. I didn't plan for this. It just happened. And so, yes, I now do my own dance fitness with my own moves, my own choreography, incorporating the stuff I've learned previously. And so, the music I use, it's an eclectic mix. It's a 40-minute workout. So it's a pre-recorded session now that I send out to people, 40 minutes, 10 or 11 songs. We warm up, we mobilise, everything's safe. And then, we put on some thumping tracks. So, for instance, I've had faith songs because of my Christian background. And, they're pop songs, rock songs, just stuff that you would hear on the radio. And then I've got the Foo Fighters in there, and I've got Boney M, Dead or Alive from the 80s. I've got sort of 90s synth electric pop. Just a real strange concoction. Gary Barlow was in recently, and it's just good fun. And somehow this playlist comes together and it works. Some songs take 10 minutes to choreograph because the moves seem obvious, but others take a while and thinking, it's not quite right. And that can take up, a bit of research, a bit of looking for ideas, but eventually it gets there. And so, somehow it comes together.
Excellent. Oh, that's brilliant. And so if people would like to buy your pre-recordings of your fitness classes, is that all done on, how do they contact you for that sort of thing?
Okay, so I'm on Facebook, so that's basically the only thing. I've not got a website yet. Yeah. I'm working on that. So it's on Facebook, Jolly Wellbeing. If you search for Jolly Wellbeing on Facebook, that's where I am. And so contact me through there. I can put my phone number out if you want, but I guess that'll be at the end there. Yeah. And so what happens is I've got everyone's email addresses. And every fortnight, I send them the 40-minute video via Vimeo, and there's a password. So they can access that privately. And then every fortnight, I record a fresh playlist, maybe 2 changes, which is what would happen in a live class. If it was a face-to-face class, you'd update it every week or every fortnight, so it includes new tracks all the time. And then eventually, weeks down the line, you've got a completely new playlist. But each song stays in for, a good 8 weeks or so. And then you get used to that song, you really enjoy it. And then before it gets stale, it's changed, So it's an evolving playlist all the time.
Oh, that's brilliant. What a great little service to have, and people from all over the world can join this. You don't have to be in the UK or Cumbria.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
that's right. Yeah.
I think as well with lockdown, we know everybody's out on the other side of the water from the UK, but I think with the lockdown, it's brought us so much closer with obviously Zoom and various other platforms for viewing people and having conversations. But I think to offer such a fantastic wellness program or fitness program like that, it's for everybody. And I can't stress that enough. I think it's wonderful to there's no, everybody is all different, like you mentioned, all different water bottles. I think that's great. That's fabulous. I love it. Nicola Roberts, I can't thank you enough. I thought it was fabulous insight into what you do and how you've changed everything. And I think that's a big plus for anybody starting off with a young family, coming onto that road. I think that's brilliant. And taking hold of your life, which I think is another important factor, and going with it when we have changes that are apparent as well. All Nicola's details for Jolly Wellbeing Fitness will be at the end on the show notes, where you can contact her direct. And any questions, they can contact you as well, Nicola. Is that right?
That's right. Please don't hesitate. Even if you're just thinking about it, I can answer any questions before you commit to anything, and you can pull out at any time as well. So
you couldn't
it's entirely your control.
You couldn't ask for any better. I think that's wonderful. Nicola, thank you so much for all your time today. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best for the future. Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Right Balance podcast. Hope you enjoyed the content. Please tell your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to the show. It will also be uploaded to the social media channels like Facebook and YouTube, including all the show notes. I hope you'll join me next week. Stay safe.